Snow was falling slowly that night, covering the forest in a quiet white blanket, and far beyond the trees stood a small wooden house glowing softly with light. Inside the house, a young couple, Clara and Henry, were sitting near the fire, watching their baby, Oliver, sleeping peacefully. In his cradle, the fire crackled gently, and the sound of the wind filled the room with calm. But outside, under the trees, something else was moving. Silently, a thin red fox, cold, hungry, and lost. The fox had been wandering for days, searching for food and a place to rest. Every time he approached the farm, people chased him away, but when he came near his little house he stopped. He could hear the faint sound of a baby crying through the walls. It was soft, warm, and full of life. Something inside him made him stay. He lay near the wooden fence, his fur wet and his body trembling from the cold. His eyes fixed on the window, where the light flickered. He stayed there all night, too weak to move. When morning came, Clara opened the back door to throw out some ashes, and she froze. There was a fox lying by the steps, barely breathing. Henry came quickly and said, "He is not dangerous, just freezing." He took an old blanket and laid it near the door, placing a small piece of meat beside it. When the fox opened his eyes, he looked at them for a long moment, then began to eat slowly. After finishing, he turned his head toward the baby's window, as if saying thank you before slipping back into the forest. They thought that was the last time they would see him, but when night came and Oliver began to cry again, there was a familiar shadow outside the window. The fox had returned. He sat quietly near the door, his ears twitching, his head tilted slightly toward the sound of the baby. Clara noticed him and smiled. She said to Henry, "He came back. He must have heard the baby again." From that night on, the fox became a silent guest. Every evening he appeared sitting under the same window, and in the morning he was gone. Henry started leaving small bits of food outside, and Oliver seemed to recognize the presence of his strange friend. He would laugh and reach his tiny hands toward the glass whenever he saw that reddish shape moving in the snow. As the weeks passed, the fox grew stronger, his fur shiny again, and his movements slower, calmer, like he finally belonged somewhere. He no longer ran away when Henry opened the door. Instead, he would sit quietly and watch, as if guarding the entrance. Clara sometimes spoke softly to him, saying thank you for staying. He would blink his golden eyes, slowly, then turn his gaze back toward the crib where Oliver slept. One morning, as spring began, the snow melted and the garden filled with small white flowers. Clara placed the baby in a small basket outside, so he could feel the sun for the first time. Not far away, under the trees, the fox appeared. He walked closer, but kept a respectful distance, watching every movement. When Oliver laughed, the fox tilted his head and wagged his tail softly, as if answering the laugh. Clara could hardly believe what she was seeing. A wild animal behaving so gently. She whispered, "You are his guardian," without even knowing it. Days turned into months, and their strange friendship continued. Every morning, the fox left paw prints near the window, and every evening he returned to the same spot until one stormy night. Thunder shook the sky. Henry went to secure the barn, while Clara put Oliver to sleep. The wind grew stronger, and a heavy branch broke, crashing against the side of the house, shattering the window. Clara ran into the room and froze, her breath caught there. On the floor, near the cradle, was the fox he had climbed through the broken window, snow clinging to his fur, his tail spread wide, covering the baby like a blanket. The child was quiet, safe, and warm beneath that living cover. For a long moment, Clara could not move. She stared at the animal, her eyes filled with tears. The fox did not growl or flee. He simply looked at her, calm, steady, unafraid, as if saying, "He is safe. I am watching over him." Clara knelt beside them, slowly lifted Oliver into her arms, and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you so much." When she looked again, the fox had slipped away through the open window, leaving only a few paw prints in the snow. The next morning, Henry went outside to fix the glass near the base of the wall. he saw something unusual. In the snow, small paw prints leading to the forest, and beside them, a small bone wrapped in a dry leaf. He called Clara out. She covered her mouth and whispered, "He left a gift, maybe." To say goodbye. From that day they never saw the fox again. Years passed. Oliver grew older and stronger. Sometimes when the family walked through the forest, they would see flashes of red among the trees. Oliver would stop his small hand, gripping his mother's. He would whisper softly, "That is him, I know it is." And Clara would smile, wiping a tear from her eye. "Maybe, my love, maybe he still comes to check on you." When Oliver turned 6, he asked his father to tell him the story again about the fox who saved him that night. Henry told it with pride and warmth, and the boy listened, wide-eyed, as if hearing a fairy tale, yet he knew deep inside it was all true, because each winter, when snow began to fall, he would stand by the window, looking at the trees, and whisper into the cold air, "Thank you for staying with me, my friend." And sometimes, on those quiet nights, when the wind moved gently through the branches, a pair of golden eyes would appear at the edge of the forest, watching the house silently, faithfully, like a promise that never faded. Please leave a like on this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to The Gentle Bond for more incredible true stories of love, loyalty, and the magic that happens when a pet becomes family.